how the concept of property came into existence. And it was born from the concept of the individual, and the individual is a concept as well, because at its base layer, the individual doesn't really exist. That's a different rabbit hole, but there is no individual and there really is no property. But we have built these mental constructs. There's nothing wrong with that. But this mental construct called property has been expanding from the property of the body, which you sense that you have, which you don't really have, but you sense that you have, and the rights you want bestowed on that body. And then if the body starts to accumulate property of its own, then you want the same rights that are bestowed on the body to be bestowed on the actual items itself, and how these items have historically been physical in nature. And because of that, they've been grown in value and have become a honeypot for theft, and how Bitcoin has come as the ultimate form of property, as digital, dematerialized property, which can't be stolen, can't be confiscated, can't be touched, manipulated, or controlled by a human being. And therefore, all of the other inferior forms of property that have existed up until now will ultimately collapse into the better form of property. And so what are those properties? Commercial real estate, stocks, art, golds, all forms of savings, T-bonds, this and that. They're inferior. And all of that, or the vast majority of that, naturally seeks out what its superior thing is. Everything converges to one. I find so many people miss this concept. Everything converges to one. It doesn't go the other way. Do you understand? So everything starts from one. It explodes to many and goes back to one. That is the story of life itself. From the Big Bang Theory to, the Big Bang and explosion, whether you want to believe the Big Bang Theory or not, from one thing explodes into many, 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 many things, and then gets sucked back into one thing, whether it's the worship of many gods and then back to flowing to the worship of one God, to everything flows back to one, whether it was like the clan and the civilization back to the rights of one individual, everything flows back to one. And monies can have this temporary period of being in a state of multiplicity, and then all the monies kind of converge onto one. Properties can look like, well, there are many forms of property, Oliver. Yeah, it's temporary because all property converges back into one. Everything goes back to its source. Everything goes back to the dirt, to use a religious analogy, right? Everything goes back to its source. Everything goes back to the Father. Everything goes back to the beginning. Everything goes back to its original point. Everything becomes singular again. And so all properties, because of the ineffectiveness of money, properties have had to have this state of multiplicity. So because my money is broken, I got to put a portion of it here. Stocks, I got to put a portion of it here. Commercial real estate, I got to put a portion of it here. Government debt, I got to put a portion of it here. In the bank, I got to put a portion of it here. That's because the shit is broken. But when it's not broken, it converges back to one thing. That one thing is Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is going to call back all of that value into itself.